Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton Sudut Pandang Gendak Awani. Sebenarnya saya nak sebut Sudut Pandang tu kerana saya ingin mengimbas kembali bahawa saya pernah bercakap tentang hampir yang sama topiknya malam ini, kerana ada Islamic Relief Worldwide dan mereka terkenal sebagai suatu NGO dalam konteks itu yang melihat kepada aspek kemanusiaan di seluruh dunia, bantuan kemanusiaan dan sebagainya. Tetapi asalnya mereka bermula hanya di bawah tangga di Birmingham di UK. Tetapi kini mereka ada di kebanyakan tempat di seluruh dunia di mana diperlukan bantuan. Dan bagaimana mereka sampai ke situ, saya nak hubungkan itu dengan hakikat bahawa semakin banyak peranan ditumpukan terhadap bantuan kemanusiaan, dan oleh itu saya ingin meminta izin untuk berbicara dalam bahasa Inggeris. I would like to welcome tonight, nearest to me is Dr. Muhammad Ashmawi, the CEO of Islamic Relief Worldwide, not just in the NGO, proud history in the corporate world also globally, and I will go to that later. And beside him is also from Islamic Relief Worldwide, Dr. Muhammad Al-Elfi, Muhammad Omar Al-Elfi, the founder and one of the board member of trustees for Islamic Relief Worldwide. Now currently there's a donor forum, global donor forum, but I would like to link that to bigger picture, because even in these parts of the world we're looking at relief efforts. Earthquakes, tsunamis are now becoming almost a feature that we faced, the reality of it, and we are having more and more preparations for it. However, when I look at the history of Islamic relief, I was just telling that intro to the viewers that from a small outfit started under the stairs of a building in Birmingham, for example, to the big global organization which it is now, and looking at specific challenges and complex challenges at that, from famine in Ethiopia and the Horn of Africa in the 1980s, to now building capacity and even discussing about things of how to manage climate change by way of being really prepared and mitigations, for example. So that sounds big, but maybe if we can start small. Funding is always a problem for NGOs and humanitarian organizations. How did Islamic Relief grow from that moment? Because I would like to see your perspective as a CEO, because now even here when we talk about NGOs, more and more we're talking about the corporate experience in running NGOs. Yeah. No more just a volunteer working part-time, but more and more full-time professional members running the organization. So can you link the history, the special history of Islamic Relief Worldwide, to how you address funding and resource allocations regarding IRW now?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting us. It's a great honor to be in such a great Muslim country, yes. Malaysia. I'd like to take this opportunity to mention to all the Malaysian brothers and sisters who are listening to us now how proud we are of all the progress that you have in this country. We use it as a role model for all of us. As far as Islamic Relief is concerned, I cannot claim the honor of starting this organization. Dr. Muhammad Al-Alfi is one of four young men who were studying in Birmingham in 83, 84 time frame, when there was a drought in Ethiopia and Sudan, and they felt the responsibility towards mankind that they should do something about it. And as you mentioned, you obviously know a lot of the history. They started with small cans, tins, and you know, had a slot just to collect the change. And because of the dedication and the intentions of the people who were working in Islamic Relief, it is now the largest non-profit Muslim organization in the world, with more than $300 million combined among all the members of the family collectively, and working in more than 33 different countries all over the world. And as you asked the question about funding, maybe in the beginning there was a challenge in the funding. After years of dedication and honesty and gaining the trust and respect from the donors, funding is not a problem right now, alhamdulillah, with Islamic Relief. There are so many donors in the West that consider zakat equals Islamic Relief. They don't know any other vehicle to take their zakat to the best places and benefit as many people as possible, Muslims and non-Muslims, I should say, better than Islamic Relief. They trust us. They know that we're going to do the job the best way possible. So as far as funding is concerned, alhamdulillah, that is not an issue right now. As you also mentioned, that we are now maturing with the organization. We started by only concentrating on emergencies. When there were issues, there were problems somewhere, we go to help those who cannot help themselves. But the organization matured with time. They started thinking, okay, well, if this country does not have an emergency, should we stop helping them? No, we would like to help them stand up on their feet, and we go there to do development. Another aspect that I believe now that I joined the organization, and I'm very proud of what they've done over the years, they started by judging their success by the number of dollars they collect every year. And then they matured even more and said, it doesn't matter how much dollars we collect, how many people did we benefit? So that was the new criteria for success. And now we're talking in the next, strategically in the next 5 years, what we're talking about is not just the number of people that we benefited, but rather we're asking ourselves the question, when Islamic Relief goes to a village and then we finish our work there, did we leave the people better off or not? Is it just, as you mentioned, Yani, thankfully, we notice sometimes that so many humanitarian organizations go to places where there is need for help. They try to finish the project in 3 to 6 months and then they leave. People are still in need of help. We are inspired by Islamic values, which says, إِذَا أَعْطَيْتُمْ فَأَغْنُوا. That is to say, if you give somebody, reach the point where they would not need anymore. So they would not keep spreading their hand asking for help again.
Hold that thought for a while. I have to go for the first commercial break, but once we are back, maybe we can also go to Dr. Muhammad Omar to know, because even startup companies, tech companies have this problem. The co-founders will want to stay and will want to run and become the CEOs forever. So that is the decline of a lot of tech companies that started in the 90s. So, but when I look at Islamic Relief, there's maturity to hand over and pass the management, because the skills needed to run the bigger organization now as compared to when it started out needed more in terms of human capital to be injected into Islamic Relief. So let's look at that and link back to the fact that now we cannot just see giving aid as giving aid, but more like if we focus more on mitigation and building capacity, so maybe we can focus less on giving aid, but more on helping people to be empowered to help themselves. That we'll discuss after this short break. You are still watching Agenda Awani. We're still talking about giving help to the most needy around the world, be it because of disaster, be it because of underdevelopment or poverty, and how to do that better and better. Sometimes when we have an emergency, maximum impact, maximum awareness, but after that, we just get complacent and forgot all about it. Then it happened again and it will be worse than before. So how do we avoid that? And we have Islamic Relief Worldwide, an organization that started small in 1984, but very big here, even here in Malaysia right now. So my next question is, as I was saying before, how do you let go? Because sometimes the founding members have very deep attachment and they want to run it themselves, but the founding members of Islamic Relief, apparently, because I've seen professionals being brought in, have this long foresight to disperse power and look at maybe other important things and let the professionals do what they do best.
Bismillah wa salatu salam ala Rasulillah. Well, in actual fact, that when we started the Islamic Relief, we had quite a lot of volunteers. Many of them were very, very qualified people. We were a student. I was on the engineering side. The other candidates or the other founders, they were in medicine. They were all busy with their education. At that time in the UK, it was not a lot of Islamic organization which they can take the people's money. It was a lack of, there is a lot of demand on the Muslims to fulfill their obligation, like the zakat, like the qurbani, and they couldn't find the vehicle which it can take this money, send it to or give it to the needy. And we used to do quite a lot of slaughtering, and we can't find anybody to distribute it to. So the idea of the second point, which is really important, the first thing which it really moved all of us was the famine in Ethiopia and in Sudan. I think the media plays as important role as any NGO, because if the media goes into, or the TV goes into every home, and it shows the pictures of dying children, dying people, burying the people, it moved every human being. So I think the role of the media should be as important as the role of the NGOs. The second point, which is really important, which the media should really touch on, is educating the people, because the people get moved, so they pay. You will find, if you go into our account, you will find that in every disaster our account goes up, and then it goes down, and then it goes up. So to develop the people, you cannot have this rhythm. We have to have the people knows that, or educated to know that to develop the people, you need money at all the time to avoid seeing such horrific pictures on the TV. So this is one role of the media, to just let the people know that it is important to give your zakat, to give your sadaqah, for development, not necessarily for a famine or for a tsunami or for something like that. If this happened, this will help any NGOs to keep up the development, to go into the villages where, even if they have been affected or something like that by a tsunami or by a flood in Pakistan, is just to show them how to build it right, to prevent any or to avoid any disaster. If the rain come back, it doesn't wash your home and go away. So we design it, we get engineers to design the village, so they can get the rainwater away from the village. We build the houses to withstand storms and floods, so at least they will be able to survive any new flood or something like that.
So just to be clear, this is not about taking in people's donation, then buying mineral water bottles, blankets, going to the affected area, camping there for a few weeks or months, giving them away, making sure that they get it, and then leave. This is about building capacity in an integrated approach. Food supply, so irrigation and modern farming techniques suitable to that particular area, and then the technical skills and know-how need to be imparted to the local population. At the same time, the local population will have to be networked with people outside, so that they keep on moving up the chain rather than being stagnant and falling down again. So all this sounds very complex. This is what a government will do. But now we're talking about a non-profit organization with still volunteers being a key part of it. So how do you manage all this and at the global scale. I have to go for the last commercial break, but once we are back, I want to learn from Islamic Relief Worldwide example of effort in Lunda village in Pakistan, for example, how you repeat that across other villages in Pakistan. And then I want to link that, if we have enough time, to the challenges that is beyond the control of non-profit organizations like Islamic Relief, like 9/11, you know, like the episode that had fallen even our counterparts here of Mavi Mamara. You want to go to Gaza to help, but then get caught in the whole thing, and you become one of the sides rather than person going from the outside helping. So that's the new complex challenges. So let's discuss that after this short break. There's this village called Lunda in Pakistan, and a non-profit organization actually helped to build capacity. But my question before the break was, this is a job that governments around the world will have to do. But we all know that it's not the same across the world. There will be failure of governance and deliverables. So this is where the NGOs will now play the role of government in a sense. So can you please give us an example of what happened in Lunda village in Pakistan?
Yes. Well, it's obviously Lunda was one of the devastated villages in Pakistan. Okay. It is about 200 homes. Most of them was washed from the floods and the rains. Yes. And when we went there, we decided to take the integrated approach. So we went to the village. We are not going there to say that we know you don't know. Yes. We will do what it should be done. No, we haven't taken this approach. We respected the culture and the knowledge of the people there. We respected their way of living, and we gathered with the elders and the village, and they selected a committee.
Okay.
One committee from the male and one committee from the female, okay, to see what is the female's needs and what is the male's need. So, and they are the ones which they have drawn the map of which homes needs to be rebuilt from scratch and which homes it's to be just repaired. And we did not go into any of these. They sorted it out as a committee. So we went there, and one of the agreement is that you have to be involved with us. Okay. We cannot do the job and you sit watching us. So you have to really help us to help you. So they have offered that they will do all the labor work. Yes. We will have to provide the material and the engineering, because obviously we need new design. So we provide all the engineering, all the design with their help, because we couldn't really do it. Yes. The way of their living is different than mine in the UK. Yes. So we have to help. They have to help us to help them. So, and this is how we really get the project going really quite fast, and with appreciation from the committee. We trained them how to look after their own village. We didn't just make the committee. We trained them how to do the accounts, how to calculate this, how to do that. It's a sort of training for the committee. So when we leave the village,
they are sustainable.
They are sustainable. They know how to look after.
And that was repeated across other villages in Pakistan.
Exactly.
It became a model.
Exactly. People came and see it. Philanthropists came and see the work in there. They really were taken by it, and
so
they
it doesn't
asked
just
us to do.
solve flood relief, it also solve poverty, education, all the MDG goals. But before we end, as the CEO, like a CEO of any other Fortune 500 companies, for example, you have to look forward. But there's a lot of challenges. The world is still divided across partisan lines sometimes, and the name itself, Islamic Relief, will already give you a handicap, maybe, to certain areas and certain communities. So how do you work across that in the world past 9/11? And at the same time, sometimes non-profit and NGO also get caught up in the situation, just like the episode of Mabi Mamara? Your views?
Yeah, Islamic Relief has always been the pioneer, and my challenge is to continue the legacy of what has happened before. The challenges of 9/11 and the name of Islamic and so on, we're so proud of our Islamic heritage and the principles that have initiated and inspired our work. As I mentioned, we don't only help Muslims, we help all mankind because we care about all mankind. Our challenges right now is how can we grow in such a way that, as you mentioned, we are maturing now, we're trying to do the next best thing, which is disaster risk reduction. So the vulnerable communities would be prepared before anything happens, and the integrated development, so when we go to a village, they do not need us again.
Doctor, I'm so sorry, that's all the time that we have.
We thank you very much for the time.
I will keep on communicating with you through social media. I will update that to the Facebook followers of Esra Awani and Twitter followers. And I do promise you, you have an open invite anytime you are in Kuala Lumpur. This seat will be yours. And also Dr. Muhammad Omar. Terima kasih banyak kerana telah menonton. Hantarkan pandangan anda sendiri kepada Facebook dan Twitter Awani ataupun emailkan sahaja, dan kita akan berjumpa lagi dalam episod Agenda Awani yang lain pula. Sekian, selamat malam dan terima kasih. Thank you.